Barry Aiken, we are going to have a public hearing tonight. The time has been reserved to allow any public comments regarding the ordinance to adopt the Town of Atoka's fiscal year 2024 budget. The first consideration of this ordinance took place on May 23rd. Would have loved to see this kind of participation. We had very few people show up. And notice of this hearing was published on June 1st, 2023. We have a lot of people here tonight. We will ask that you come to the podium, state your name, your address, and there's 2 or 3 rules. First and foremost, we ask that you be civil. That is above all things. We're a civilized society, and you might not agree with some of the things in the budget. You might agree, but we can have a discussion and we can hear your comments in a civil manner. You will be allotted 2 minutes. It's obvious we have a lot of people here tonight. I don't know if all of you care to comment, but we're going to limit you to 2 minutes for your comments. That should be more than enough time, and that will allow us to give everybody an opportunity. We will keep going. We do not have to end this at the normal meeting time of 7. We'll keep going until people have had an opportunity to share their comments with us. All right. Ms. Deb, would you give us a roll call tonight, please?
All right, we have Mayor Aiken.
Here.
Alderman Pace.
Here.
Alderman Harper.
Here.
Alderman Philmayer.
Here.
Alderman Giannini.
Here, ma'am.
Alderman Renfro. Here. And Alderman Schaefer.
Here. All right. We do have all board here tonight. So I would just ask if you, I guess you'll line up, come to the podium down here, whoever wants to start out. I'm not using lists for the public hearing, so.
Somebody got to start.
Yes, sir.
First of all, Jesse Poole, 566 Main Street. Good evening, Mayor, Board, Alderman, Lady, and staff. I will say this, I met with the mayor this week and with the city administrator. They made some things a little bit more clear for me on this tax increase. It's minimized, it's down to 13 point something cents per 100. However, being an assessment year, it's caused our insurances to go up. Most of us are on set wages per year. But I also noticed that our sales tax revenue has increased last year, all but 1 month, and I think it was even from the years previous. You're fixing to increase fees, some of them 100%. You're fixing to increase fines. It's just an assessment year is a bad year to do this. Our population is fixing to be stagnant because our growth is almost at a minimal, and your numbers reflect that. I ask that you respectfully decline this increase. We can think of a better way of doing it, I believe. We've got increases on our sales tax. Maybe we need to try to get more people to shop here and get that up a little more. I firmly believe in that. With that in mind, thank you.
Thank you. Well, go ahead. Whoever would like to speak next.
My name is Wanda Bates, 187 Rosalind Way. I grew up in Tipton County. Left here when I was 18, came back in 2004. I wanted to settle in Atoka because it was a nice town, friendly town, low taxes, low crime, everybody took care of each other. That's changed. Between 2014 and 2015, my taxes went up 44.12%. Between 2015 and 2018, 46.6%. 2018 to 2020, 10.5%. 2020 to 2022, 5.3%. 2022 to 2024, it will go up approximately 8.2% with the proposed rate. Total, in 9 years, my taxes will have gone up 166%. This is hurting people. People who are on fixed income cannot do this. They have to make choices between food, medicine, and paying their taxes. 3 homes on my street, people have had to leave because they couldn't afford the taxes last year. And with this reappraisal, it is not helping people. There has got to be a better way to do this, and I truly hope y'all find one.
Y'all can form a line, you don't have to come up one at a time if there are people. Because I know just then we had like 3 people all stand up to do it, so y'all can get in a line behind Mr. Bill or somebody
I'm
else.
Bill Austin, 55 Clay Cove. With everything going on and the storm coming through, has the board considered a waiver on fence permits because of the weather and the storm? If not, appreciate it if you would consider it.
Brett Pickard, 165 Atkinson Circle. Just as most of these fine citizens, we are opposed to the taxes continue to go up every year. You have to cut back your spending and do better job of that. This Industrial Development Board, what is the purpose of it? How much you got in the budget for it?
We're trying to fund $100,000 for the industrial.
Okay.
The
What do you-
purpose of it is for economic development for the town.
Okay.
Specifically, right now, we are heavily influenced, the only way we have revenue is property taxes. We don't have the commercial. So what we're trying to do by bringing this industrial development board, most everybody here can understand what's going on in Millington, and everything that's coming to Millington is a direct result of their industrial development board. So the industrial development board has some options. They act as a liaison between any kind of commercial entity that might want to come into Atoka. So what we would hope and what we would love is to see more commercial development. I think maybe the chief said something about that, but get us off of this reliance on property taxes and be able to get some more commercial development going.
You do not have the infrastructure to support industry or more commercial until you get your sewer issues worked out. You can't attract anything. You can't build an outhouse.
And there's a big part of this.
Y'all just
budget
keep
that's
meeting
addressing
and
that
meeting and
exact
meeting and
problem.
meeting and meeting.
Yes, sir.
You gotta quit meeting and start acting and live within your means, just like you do at home. You know, I can't just go out and spend money recklessly like that. I've got to, answer to the banker and stuff, so
I would disagree
Yeah.
that we're spending it recklessly, Mr. Pickard.
I don't think you're spending it wisely, so
Yes, sir.
that's my thoughts.
All right. I guess since y'all are gonna do it one at a time, yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to speak as a former recorder of the city of Atoka. Most people don't remember that I was a recorder. It was around 1987, which is a long time ago, and a lot has happened since then.
Could you state your name and your address?
My name is Stephanie Borman, 125 Atkinson Circle.
Thank you, Ms. Stephanie.
In the few years that I was there, we had 2 part-time workers. I was one of them, and we had a maintenance man. We got more done in that period of time than I have seen done in the last 10 years. So more money is not going to make things happen. I just don't believe it is. You have to have people that are willing to get things done and want to do something.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bill Anderson, 452 Beverly Drive. You have a code enforcer who is sending out hundreds of $10 envelopes to people all over this town for enforcing code. If you have enough money for that type of envelope, you don't need to increase the stupid taxes.
Christopher Berry, 346 Colton Ridge Lane. I just have one question. I know what the proposed tax rate for Atoka is, but I don't know what it is for Tipton County. Have you all got any information on that?
I believe the town administrators might have that right in front of them, yes, sir.
The Tipton County's estimated certified rate's gonna be about $1.53 per hundred.
I believe they're 202 right now. That's what it's gonna go down to, but the county has not received its certified rate.
Yeah, currently it's 2.039.
Yes, sir.
And so Atoka is going from $1 1.03 to 0.8226. Does that sound right?
Yeah, just like the county, we haven't gotten our certified rate yet, yes, sir.
So,
Approximately, yes, sir.
so if the Tipton rate, what was that you said?
About $1.53.
Okay, so that would, that answers my question.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name's Clark Matthews. I live on 161 Colonial Woods Drive. My address is actually on Mossy Oak. Been in the neighborhood there approximately 20 years. My street still does not have the final 1.5 inch finish layer on it. We've never been able to find an answer why that has happened. My street has 5 examples of the 8 types of failure that you see on street surfaces. The other 3 mostly happen in cold weather climates. They don't happen here. Mine has all 5. We have troughing, we have alligatoring, we have potholes, we have depressions, and all of this is directly due to the fact there's only 2 inches of asphalt on the roadway. There's a lot of streets being paved around that are much, much newer than mine, and our taxes keep going up. We keep asking for our road to be paved, and I don't see it happening. It's been on the list to be paved at least twice before that I know of, got bumped, and it certainly hasn't gotten better with time. So I just want to address that. I'd like to have an answer for that and see if we can't get something done about it.
Mr. Matthews, we have your meeting question. I know you asked that same thing. We'll be addressing that in our regular board meeting. This time's been set aside for the comments specifically about the budget for this year.
I think this directly addresses the budget.
We will be answering your question and discussing that at our regular board meeting time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Karen Marbury. I'm at 121 Cotton Fall Drive, and I would like for you all to oppose this tax rate. I've been born and lived here my whole life, and I have come to meetings before, kind of stopped. I will plan to come to more to support y'all, just like y'all are trying to support us. But I would like to ask a couple of questions. Number one, how many of you that are on this panel up here live in the city of Atoka? This will affect you as well.
Every board member has to be.
They have to be in the city. Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure. I
And
knew
the
you had to
mayor.
live in Atoka. Okay,
The mayor
so
has
you
to
have
be.
to live in the city to be on the
Yes,
board.
yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
that answers that question. Thank you. With the growth, I have obviously seen it grow, just like if you've lived here. I mean, Atoka Pond Road, everybody knows what that is. This is Mead Lake. But in general, we have had so many houses come into play. How is that not helping the income? Because you're getting tax money for all these new houses. So, I mean, I would think that should be helping us in general. So if that's not working, I'm like everybody else. I think we need to maybe sit back, realign some things here. But I think, like everybody in general, it's poor taste right now to do it. And I know y'all may have not known it was a reappraisal year, but that just hits. But knowing we just had a big increase in 2018, that's not that long ago. So, I just hope y'all would reconsider it. So.
Ms. Karen, I know that is a point that's raised a lot. And when you actually put the numbers to it, if you take what you would pay and let's say that 100% of your taxes went to just the police department, that would probably fund 2 officers. I mean, you say, well, how much did it take to fund 1 police officer? Let's just throw a rough number out, $60,000 a year. It would actually take 30, 40, 50 houses to pay for that 1 police officer. That's just police department. That's not counting fire, that's not counting public works, that's not counting administration. So it's a great point. And a lot of people ask that, and I've addressed that on social media in years past. But if you just really put the numbers to it, you gotta have a lot of houses just to pay for 1 firefighter or 1 police officer, and so on and so on.
I understand. Like I said, in general, I mean, the growth is nice, but then again, I feel like it has grown too fast.
Right.
Maybe we need to slow it down too hell, because like I said, this tax increase every year, like the lady pointed out. I mean, I wrote mine down as well, and every year that she was saying it, that's exactly, I mean, obviously, the years it went up, and it just seems like a lot in less than 10 years here that we've had several increases. So I'd hope y'all would reconsider it this year for sure. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
My name is Scott Sakalauskas. I live at 126 Edith Lane, and I'm against going over the budget. I'm thinking if you're trying to bring in business, it doesn't sound like a good plan that I'm going to go somewhere that, you know, they're going over their budget. I want to run a business that's profitable. Maybe my taxes will go up next after bringing me in. So I just want to say that, you know, new trucks for all the houses and stuff makes sense for fire, but then there's going to be maintenance on them. There's going to be other things breaking down. They're going to want more money later. So I'd just like to see a different solution. Thank you.
Ms. Stephanie, I'd like to give somebody that hadn't talked already.
Just one thing.
So we've got a gentleman here that hadn't spoken yet. So if everybody else talks, and then you still have something? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Hi, yes, Matthew Brook, 50 Bullard Drive. I think what the biggest thing is that, like, yes, like we said, the county taxes may by percentage go down, but in an assessment year, I'm still going to pay an additional $100 over what I paid last year. When I look at it at the current rate, no matter what, mine is going to go up. And I understand the extra money, but mine goes up $300 just on the normal rate because of my assessment. And most people, I mean, I live in a subdivision that's 20 years old. I've been here a year, but like, that's still a $300 increase, and then you want to add an extra $100 on top of that. So now, for my county and city taxes alone, I'm now up to closer to $2,000 just to go to that. On top of fighting the fact that we have inflation that is supposedly going down, but you have families that are fighting that in addition to these increases. So yes, you can raise the taxes, but at some point, as people have said, if people are turning away, you're not going to make that back except on us. So there has to be some sort of balance, and that's what I would recommend.
We have obviously no control over the county
Yes, sir.
taxes. We just absolutely cannot do with anything with the county.
Yes, sir.
We only keep control of it.
You negotiate with the county, don't you?
No, sir. No, sir.
Get 'em.
Good evening. My name is Eddie Guzman. I live at 711 Duncan Drive. Appreciate the work you guys do. I know that this is not easy. I too am against this rate hike right now. My family is struggling with all the inflated prices for everything. The taxes based on our overvalued home, as I see it right now, will really make an impact for myself, and I know for all these people as well. Clearly, we're aligned on that. I have a question for you. In the event that this does not pass, what is the backup plan? What is the impact to us?
That's a good question.
I expect they'll probably try and meet next week sometime and hammer something out. We'd like to get it done before the end of the month.
Are we waiting until next week? Have there been any thoughts about how you can help us? Or we wait until this meeting's over with? I'm sorry.
I've got plenty of thoughts, but this is not the forum to give them to you right now.
And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the work that you guys do.
So, just to kind of give you a timeline, we have to have our budget in by June 30th to the state, as far as approved. And any kind of meeting, we have to have so many days of public notice, like we have with all of our meetings. So,
Your work is very much appreciated, just as you appreciated all of our support when you guys were elected, all right? Please keep that in mind as you look to change our future.
Good evening. My name is Donna Hart, and I live at 72 Harper Street. And of course, I'm against any tax increases, but I'm all for cost savings plans and projects to decrease the amount of spending we're having in this whatever type of economy that we're having. But for the past several years, we've had several tax increases and collected more in revenue than what was budgeted. To me, that doesn't allot to a tax increase. In 2018, we budgeted $1.4 million in revenue. You took in $1.46 million. In 2019, budgeted $2.093 million, took in $2.152 million. 2020 was a weird year. I didn't find the data for that, other than that we budgeted $2.1 million. 2021, budgeted $2.2 million, took in $2.3 million. 2022, budgeted $2.271 million, took in $2.395 million. 2023 so far, you budgeted $2.48 million. Of course, that was adjusted from the previous budget that was certified last year. And the actual collections for 11 months is $2.5 million. Every year, we're collecting more than what we budget in tax revenues. To me, that does not justify a tax increase. Not only that, but the proposed tax rate of 1.24 would be an increase in revenues from $2.5 million annually to $4.05 million annually.
It's not 1.24, that was before the assessment and the adjustment.
What's the new rate?
The new rate it's actually 113 cents over whatever the certified tax rate ends up being.
So it's changed since the public notice was out?
No, ma'am, it was 1.24 before we knew what the new certified tax rate. We still don't know. We have an estimation.
So what's our new rate?
The
0.8226.
0.8226 and that's an estimate. And I would just say, whenever we do a budget, just like I'm sure most of you do on your own budgets, we are trying to take the worst case scenario of our revenue and the worst case scenario of our expenditures.
Yes,
So
I understand budgets.
it's a good thing that we underestimate. And revenue is one thing, but there is an expenditure side too for all your figures you're throwing at us.
Yeah, there is.
We're trying to be very responsible with that. But I didn't mean to stop you, but it's not 1.24 because there was some miscommunication.
What's the new proposed rate?
What is it again?
0.8226.
It's gonna be 0.1388 over whatever the ended up being certified tax rate is.
Okay.
But what Alderman Felton might give you should be very close to what that is.
Okay. So that's, I'm sorry, what was that?
The 0.8226.
Yeah,
Is the
No, I'm
estimated.
sorry, somebody said something in the background.
but this is your time to speak.
Gotcha. I'll adjust my calculations, but either way, with the other proposed tax rate that was part of the public notification, it was a $1.5 million increase. Our property values have went up across the board between 40 and 50%.
And your certified rate went down. That's right.
It did, but you said
And,
that we
know,
don't
the
have a
assessment-
certified rate.
Everybody's talking about the assessment. That's the county. Atoka didn't sit back and say we need to do an assessment.
I'm not saying you did,
I know that.
but our
I'm just-
taxes are based on that assessment, so whatever numbers are thrown out are
That's
gonna
why
be
the
based on
certified
that
rate comes
assessment.
down to adjust that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my other part of my question was what type of cost savings were implemented into the budget instead of additional spending?
Well, we're gonna talk about the budget at our meeting, at our regular meeting, but I can tell you the majority of this is personnel. 9 people. We
And
need bodies.
how much does that equate annually?
to provide the services to y'all.
And how much does that equate to annually?
Ma'am, we'll get into the numbers at the regular meeting. Your time's up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Stephanie really wants to have another comment, but I want to give somebody else, anybody. Okay, Ms. Stephanie, you want to come back?
Okay, just from the last meeting and this meeting, I saw where there's a possibility that a minimum of $10,000 can be cut off the budget, just like that. Have y'all looked at what can be cut?
Yes, ma'am.
Instead of just increasing?
Yes, ma'am. We've had many, many work sessions for this budget. This is not something we just take very lightly. We have put more time in this budget than probably any budget in the history of the Atoka. Thank you. I have 7, yes, Ms.
Sorry, I
Cameron.
have a few more things that came to my mind, I apologize. As far as on that list that someone provided that y'all were like synopsis of things,
Yes.
several of those seemed to me like were a big one-time expense, possibly maintenance later down the road. How does that justify an increase when it's a one-time thing? You know what I mean? Down the road, does that mean you're gonna lower the taxes back because it's a one-time? And then these sporting events, there was a fence. One thing was for the fence for the softball, and I grew up playing softball. We did fundraisers. We did, I know you pay a fee to play. Where is that excess? I know you're paying your umpires. You're probably having to pay your concession. I worked the concession stand for my kid. That was a known thing. Things like that I know are different nowadays, but is all of the money that these players are paying going towards that and you're still needing more? I mean, because to me, that excess money should be going towards that fence and things like that. So those are just things I would like to bring up as well, so.
Okay, we can address that when
That's
Park and
fine.
Rec
Okay.
comes during the regular meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Cameron. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I have one more question because you've mentioned it, right? So you owe our budget to the state of Tennessee, but the state of Tennessee owes you a number for that. What is being done by them, or what's preventing them from providing the actual rate?
Like, how come we do not have that yet?
Yes, sir, because like that seems to me like they're asking you for something that you can't physically give them because they haven't given you all the information. So what's being done to push their hand?
Because, well, you want to, Mr. Administrator, you want to say anything? Sure.
It would be very nice if the state would start this whole process earlier on in the year, so we don't come to June 30 and have some unknowns yet, one of those being the certified tax rate. So what is ongoing is, like all of us in this room that are, live in Atoka, we got our reassessment notice, and then we were also provided an appeal process. The county heard appeals the first week of June, and then there's also another layer of process. So if someone, a taxpayer, does not appreciate the county's decision, they can appeal that to the state. That would go to Nashville. Those should be done by the end of the month. We're hearing from the comptroller that the certified rate should come down probably early July, could be as late July, but that is the reason why, because the appeals process is still playing out.
Right, but that doesn't, you started off perfectly saying that like it would be better if the state did their job, right? So did the county make the decision too late to do the assessment? Because like these guys up here are trying to play with information they don't have, right? And is it being slowed by the county or is it being slowed by the state at that point? Because if the county acted too quickly or too late to start the process, then it becomes a state issue, right?
Yeah, yes, sir, and I don't know the process in every detail, but what I'd say is being delayed by the appeals process at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, this was a special appraisal, right?
Because we just had one 2 years ago.
Right, yeah, this was a special appraisal, so the timeline was all jacked up. I think from the start, as soon as the counties got the word they had to do a reappraisal, that's when it started, and it just ended up this way. But this doesn't mean that we can't go back and adjust it. I mean, that rate, I think, is gonna be pretty close to 68 point, or 68, whatever it is.
118, yeah.
the certified rate?
Yes.
I think that's gonna be pretty close.
Just as a matter of education, nobody's up here right there so at this moment. The way the state law works for reassessments, this is the county, this is not Atoka. It's once every 6 years, or if there's an increase of over 10% in property values. It's just for what that is.
Do they ever lower it? I mean, because we are at a, houses are peaking, and now they're
Yeah.
probably gonna go back down, and then, yet we've got the higher amount, so do they ever reappraise it to go down? I mean, it just seems like they did it in a bad year.
Yeah, they could do it
one.
if it was felt to that once every 6 years and they said, oh, things have fallen. It
But
could
they
happen.
won't ever do that if it goes down, they would, okay. Thanks.
But just like, some municipalities want to raise the rate or lower the rate here to get it where you have the same amount of revenue coming in, they could also raise it to get the same amount of revenue coming in.
Right. If the assessment went down, then your tax rate would go up to balance to keep it. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Stacy Guzman at 711 Duncan Drive. As far as the values go, and I know this with every fiber of my being because I live it and breathe it, just ask my family, daily, in through that whole boom. These values are overinflated, everybody's heads are in the clouds, but guess what? They're already coming down. Then we get this. Hello, how are you? A reassessment at overinflated values. In the boom, in that 2 years, this person alone did 755 loans myself to cover that slack. I work for Independent Bank in Memphis. By myself, day and night, no days off for 2 years straight. So I know what values are. Not only do I run the operations of it, but I underwrite. And I value appraisals, and I look at appraisals, and I look for defects. And all of a sudden, all this is coming back. Now you got sellers begging to sell their property, dropping prices. And here we are in overinflated values. And based on the overinflated value at today's current rate, our county tax, mine, I can only speak for mine, will go up 42%. Now here comes Atoka with the extra, just as other people have said. And that is going to raise it up over 50% of what people are currently paying. So I am imploring you to please reject any more increases. No one can handle this. Have y'all been to Kroger? I come home from Kroger every day, and I'm mad because you just can't get anything. And now here we go, increasing the taxes. And just as others have said, we're not seeing anything. The Blue Oval, I've been a part of that. I've gone down to their meetings. Atoka has missed that boat for the early on gate. That's over. You would have to exponentially grow very quickly to catch that boat. We're missing the employees, all the people that could come, and Millington talking, oh, we're 30 minutes from here. We're seeing the growth around us. We're not seeing action in Atoka. I love Atoka. I was born in Atoka. I moved back to Atoka in 1999, and I've been at that address. But I assure you, and just write my name down up there, look it up. I've been doing this since 1993. Mortgages. I live and breathe these appraisals. Right. So the taxes, if you could just please not let that go forth.
We've heard a common theme tonight. Everyone has had cost increases, myself included, every member of this board. The town has had cost increases in every aspect of the town, whether that's a sewer pipe that has to be replaced, whether that's an air conditioner that has to be fixed. We, like you, have seen increases in every single aspect of our costs also. Please understand that. Anything else?
Hey, how you doing, Barry? Hey, I'm Rick Weiner, 825J Blades, and I know it's difficult to sit in those shoes, but here, we've heard a bunch of people talk about this is not the year to do tax increase, and it's because, we're in the economic recession, economic inflation. The price of everything is going up to include shipping, supplies, Kroger's, I mean, everything is going up, right? So you have to think about when is the right time that says, I've got to look at economic recovery. And I would just implore you to do like these people said and think about holding off another year. Let's figure out where the economy is going for the United States. Tennessee, Tipton County, I got it, you're gonna address the balancing of the taxes for this year. But next year, what we're worried about is taxes going up again, right? You only have so much income. Every time your pay raises go up, so does the cost of your groceries, cost of your shipping. So I would just ask, think about tightening the belt this year and figuring where we can find that money. And next year we can revisit, but I don't think this is the right year, guys. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Henry Suter, 37 Vernon Street. One of the things that I've been hearing, and comment was made earlier about how the town is growing. It's growing a lot. Now, I don't profess to understand or know all the growth that's going on, but I will say every single house that I've seen go up has been a large, single-family dwelling. Now, it would seem that if we try to focus some more attention to bring in some multifamily units, such as what I've seen in Mumford, we might have more people, more public works connections, more basically people coming in where it would not be as much of a burden on the rest of us out here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Regina Prescott. I'm at
Pull that
280.
down if you want, Miss Regina.
Thank you. Regina Prescott at 280 Duncan Drive. And I don't understand it all either, but my biggest question is how we have chosen to exceed the estimated amount. I understand with growth and we need, first responders, we need to grow the city. I know that a lot of infrastructure as far as streets and stuff we need to do, but is there a reason why we're exceeding it right now, or is there a way for you to find a compromise on that raising of the taxes to give us that leverage and then take another look at it next year?
So the reason it says exceed, the word exceed, because of as your assessment goes up and the tax rate goes down, so if you stayed exactly the same, there will not be any revenue increase. It works like that, and just like somebody said, if your assessment ever went down, the property taxes would go up to keep that income level the same. So the town of Atoka is looking to increase our revenue, and we've got a very good presentation in the meeting to tell you exactly why we're asking the citizens to invest in our
And I think that's why everyone is very aggravated. When you use those words and present it that way, everybody gets alarmed right off the bat. So because we don't know all the dynamics that are involved in the tax rates, it is a huge jump, but if there is a way that y'all could kind of compromise a little bit on it as well, I think the town would appreciate that, because we understand and we want the value of being taken care of, but we also, at this time in the economy, just need a little bit of help, I think, with that. And then I think more people would be apt to, in the year or two, to kind of raise it a little bit more, and then that way we can build it as we go instead of kind of being all hit at once. So, all right, thank you.
Okay. Any more comments? Yes, sir. We're going to give about 3 more minutes. It seems like things are kind of slowing down.
Good evening. Joe Pembroke, 275 Elizabeth Drive. Got a couple of questions. One is the assessment rate for the county. If nationwide real estate is going down, why is ours jumping up $100,000? I mean, just in 1 year. I
For the
mean,
assessor and for the county.
I understand that. The sewage fees.
Yes, sir.
When I was here in '98, Mayor Walker was up there. And we argued this point about the sewer fees, the cost of pretty much equal water to sewage. And we were told then that once we added more houses and families, the rate would go down. Well, it's done nothing but gone up, okay? I just don't understand and then if you go with $25 million for your budget, let's say, what do you do with the residual every year? You throw it back in the next year's budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Remember, a budget is just a
No, I know what a budget is.
best case scenario,
Right.
best guess of what your revenues and your expenditures are going to be.
So you're allowed to move money around within that budget?
Yes, sir. Well, certain accounts we can. Water and sewer can only be spent for water and sewer.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And what's the
There are very
affiliation?
limited things we can.
Yeah, what's the affiliation between Munford and Atoka on the water issue?
That could take 4 hours for me to go. I can tell you that we buy water from Mumford,
Okay.
also from Poplar Grove, if that answers your question.
So are they involved in any way with our sewer system and our sewer management?
Same thing with sewer. We pump our sewer to Mumford for treatment. We are currently in negotiations with Mumford for that very specific item. Yeah.
So we have it.
My previous mayor, Darrell Walker, and since I've been
Correct.
mayor for about 6-7 months now,
Yeah?
it's all about wastewater. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am. This will be the final comment for the period, and then I would welcome y'all to stick around for the June board meeting. We'll be talking more about the budget.
I'm
Yes, ma'am.
sorry, I forgot this question last time I was up here regarding the sewer fund and the garbage services that we have,
Yes,
where we're allocating funds from those funds to our general fund.
Yes.
Has there been any ideas on allocating funds monthly based on the number of employees working on those projects and their hours, vacation time? That way, there's not just one lump sum, best guess transfer instead of, I mean, most companies allocate funds monthly from one department to another based on employee hours and earnings, which allows for it to be better accounted for and for there to be more transparency. And as you said before, I'm not a town person, but I am a financial analyst, and I do budgets and forecasts all the time. I'm working on one now for Smith & Nephew. And from what I've seen, there's no need for tax increases. There are needs for reallocation of funds based on hours and earnings and usage for certain services. And the extras that are, for instance, our waste went up this year, but there's a surplus in that account.
No,
Even
ma'am.
after,
Wastewater is in.
no, I'm not talking about wastewater, I'm talking about the trash fund, where we went up to paying $20-something a month for less services. They went up, we transferred $195,000 out. There's still funds left in that account, which means we're bringing in more than what we've expensed out.
That's true.
So, where is that money gonna go? Has it
It's
been
going to the
properly,
general fund. It's
has it
going
been
to-
properly allocated? And why can't that money be used for some of the items that we're forecasting in our budget?
It is being used for items, yes, ma'am.
Because, I mean, as of the last budget information, it was still sitting there. But that's my last question, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we are going to close the public hearing time. We're going to give about a 10-minute break between this meeting and our June board meeting, just to give those that need to maybe take care of some business. And I've got 7:32, so we will reconvene for our June board meeting. Let's say it's 7:40, 8 minutes.